Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about Rahu and Ketu in terms of when planets are with them. Because these are the nodal axes, these are the points of reference that I feel are so important. Because Rahu and Ketu, they're actually, Rahu's the north node of the moon and Ketu is the south node of the moon. But these are the reference points of our karma and destiny. And as the planets in the heavens come together with this nodal axis, as I'll call it, they are activated in a big way. You see, Rahu is where the moon hits the ecliptic, which is the apparent path of the sun, from our vantage point on Earth, where the sun's path is, where the moon hits the ecliptic going upwards is Rahu. And exactly opposite where the moon hits the ecliptic going downwards is the south node of the moon, which is Ketu. Just realize that Rahu brings us into the world, which is this awareness of the materialistic physical world, what we're here to learn in this world, our desires, our want to be here. Whereas Ketu takes us out of this world, which is what's beyond this world, our spirituality, our truth, but it does definitely deal with some losses. So thinking about Rahu and Ketu, remember they are always exactly opposite. And one takes us into the world, the materialistic world, and one takes us out of the world, therefore dealing with our spirituality. But they're also our karmic destiny. And yes, check out my book, by the way, Rahu and Ketu, which talks about our karmic destiny, and it also talks about eclipses. So here is my book. I wrote this a few years ago called Rahu and Ketu, Our Karmic Destiny Through Eclipses. Because let me explain something else. An eclipse is where the sun and the moon align with Rahu and Ketu. A solar eclipse is when the sun and moon conjoin with Rahu, and then 6 months later, it comes together with Ketu, the sun and the moon. So eclipses happen, a solar eclipse, twice a year, 6 months apart. Because remember, Rahu and Ketu are exactly opposite. So going through all the signs, coming to the opposite, all 7 signs, then you have another eclipse 6 months later. So the sun and the moon are really so important on planet Earth. They deal with the duality. They deal with the sun is the masculine. It's the spirit. It is our life force. It gives day. And it represents male energy and the father. Whereas the moon is the night. It deals with that reflective force. When we go within, we dream, we sleep, we rest. But the moon is reminiscent of the female energy. I mean, it even controls the female cycle, which is every month, the female cycle. But this is the moon, and it deals with the female principle, receiving, the receptive. Remember, the moon receives the light of the sun and reflects it back. Whereas the sun puts out that force and energy and life on planet Earth. So that's the positive male energy, whereas the receptive negative charge of the moon deals with female energy and rules the mother. The sun is the father, the moon is the mother. When we look at the sun, it gives daylight, the moon gives nighttime. So these are the duality forces on our planet Earth. So when you put the nodes of Rahu and Ketu, which are our destiny, when they come together with these nodes, then you will see that things happen. So that rules eclipses. But what I wanted to talk about is when planets come together with Rahu or Ketu. But relative to right now, Mars is going to come together with Rahu in the month of March. Towards the end of March, around the 26th, Rahu and Mars will conjoin around 19 degrees of Taurus. Now, this is not an uncommon event because really every 2 years, Mars will conjoin Rahu. Because it takes 2 years for Mars to go through the whole zodiac. So at some point in time, it will come together with Rahu. But this time is very significant. There are so many other things going on relative to where the planets are. So I went back to the last time that Mars, now remember I said it will conjoin Rahu every 2 years. But by the time it conjoins in the same sign, it is quite different, because the very last time that Mars conjoined Rahu was actually, in Taurus that is, was actually the year of 2002. And actually I looked it up, it was May 10th of 2002. Then I went back another time frame, and sometimes you miss it because with Mars' cycle of being retrograde within that 2-year cycle, it may not come together exactly in the sign of Taurus. Yes, it'll come together, but maybe not in that sign. So the time that I found before that was actually 1966. And that would have been a very significant time as well. And it was actually May 21st of 1966 when we have Rahu conjunct Mars in Taurus. So those are the previous times. And now we're headed for another one. Remember, Taurus is about finances and money. And during these times, it's always critical in a big change. Taurus is about security. It's also about land, property, food. All these things are going to be more important. Because whenever a planet comes to Rahu, what is the force of Rahu? It magnifies things. And I find that Rahu being with Mars is going to magnify everything that Mars is about, which many times deals with violence, anger, and action. But it's tempered by being in the sign of Taurus. Taurus is the sign that deals with material things, with wealth, with money, with food, what gives us substance. So when I went back to look at 2002, this was the recovery of all that happened from 9/11. People were recovering. Now, going back to 1966, it was all about the Vietnam War. People needed to feel protected, and people are looking for leadership to feel protected. And this is what's so important. Because now, in the month of March, towards the end of March, I actually defined that the degree of 19 degrees of Taurus was crucial. Because there's certain degrees that when things come together, it's a major, major trigger. So what I'm telling you is this trigger, I have found many, many times that degree between 19 to 24 degrees of Taurus was crucial in terms of major events happening. So during this time, it may not be so obvious on that day, but something's happening that's going to change the world forever. And like I said, I don't believe it's going to be an explosion. But this is stuff that's happening deep within. We all need the sense of security and protection. And that's what this Mars in Taurus conjunct Rahu is about. We're all seeking protection. And a lot of things are going to change as a result of this coming together. Mars in Taurus. And Taurus deals with food, our food supply. cleaning that up, becoming more aware of how we have been infiltrating our food chain with toxins. That's one thing that's going to arise out of this, and it needs to. Another thing that's going to come out of this is the sense of fighting anger and war. Mars is that. And we are looking for means to better protect all of ourselves on planet Earth, to find that better protection. This is a monumental event. Watch how things change after the end of March as Mars processes through the sign of Taurus. And our representation around the world with leadership is going to change dramatically. Wait and see. So with that, I think you have a better understanding of what this nodal axis, particularly Rahu, means as it comes together with planet Mars in the sign of Taurus. So with that, I'd like to close. If you would like more information on me, learn Vedic astrology, you can go to my website, which is galacticcenter.org, and sign up for my free newsletter. You'll get all of this information delivered to your email. Don't forget to check out my beautiful spiritual jewelry, malas, prayer malas. And also, if you want to learn Vedic astrology, go to my university website, which is universityofvedicastrology.com. Come join our university. I would love to have you in our community. Thank you.